We're back, Bitcoin 2026. The Bitcoin conference has been gone. We have been gone for 1 week, and now we are back. Today, I just realized today that today is the strategy earnings call for everyone that has one or two shares. Might be the Super Bowl, like once a quarter. At least I feel like that. I always love earnings seasons. Before I went into Bitcoin, now I can relive that a little bit with strategy. I will stay up late and watch it because it will be at like midnight, 11 p.m. or something like that my time. How you guys doing? What's going on in Bitcoin? What did we miss last week? Gosh.
You're that's your version of sports, Robin, is strategy calls now. I feel like a lot of Europeans stay up for sports, golf, soccer, maybe some hockey. But you're a strategy earnings call kind of guy, eh? Nerd.
Is he going to be? Will this be like the new Buffett? You know, everyone who come do the pilgrimage to Omaha and see him talk. Like, this is going to be
probably
strategy eventually. I mean, it seems like it will be.
I think so. Like I can imagine Sailor sitting there with like 97 years old and telling like Bitcoin, like telling about like stories about Bitcoin.
There's no second best.
Like there's no second best. Like I could definitely see that happening. Also, like they have now the Strategy World conference thing, and I feel like that could literally be the biggest Bitcoin conference one day. Like this could be a solid thing. So yeah,
the way it's going right now, for really sure. It seems to me like Strategy World's kind of going upwards direction, and the conference is kind of going downwards. Just from my perspective, based on kind of everything I'm seeing there. I know people go to the conference, but it seems like people go to the conference more so to like see other Bitcoiners and meet other Bitcoiners, not necessarily to see what's going on in the industry or listen to people speak anymore. It's more so just for the connection. So I don't know. I think David Bailey, people have different opinions on him. I think they've kind of shot themselves in the foot. I don't know if there's a way back into the Bitcoin only world. And I'm not saying that strategy is, but I just think that's more in line with kind of where things are moving with more momentum right now. And so I agree. I think that could become the new conference one day, the Strategy World.
I thought it was pretty crazy that the Bitcoin conference had Cash Patel there.
Yeah.
That's so weird to me. Like, isn't that like the opposite of what Bitcoin is? And he didn't even show up.
I think that's why a lot of whales. That's why numerous whales have sold over the last year or two, because that was the gripe. It was, hey, you guys we're in bed with the people that we were trying to route around, and now we're linking arms with them. You know, so that is one of the reasons. You know,
but that's the greatest thing about Bitcoin, right? It gives you a choice, so you can be completely isolated from them. Like, you don't need to go to the conferences,
right?
Like, they can have their own stack, and they can't touch your stack, and there's nothing they can do. If you're a whale and you hold Bitcoin, that Bitcoin is yours, right? They can't do anything about it. They can't stop it, especially if it's non-KYC. Like, if somebody bought 1,000 Bitcoin 15 years ago,
could you imagine?
Right? Why would you sell it? There's no point in selling.
Exactly.
Right? Because you're just holding it. Nobody knows you have it. Nobody knows it's there. And I mean, that's probably the best position to be in. Like, what else are you going to sell for? Well, if you sell for dollars, how are you going to get those dollars? Like, those dollars are obviously part of the legacy financial system. So that makes no sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, what would you you just go around, I guess, asking people for if you're going to purchase things like, hey, I'll buy this $5 million thing from you, but I'm only going to do a Bitcoin. I mean, you'd probably get numerous people to do it. You know, if like, hey, I want that $5 million, you know, the normie, you know, like, okay, like I'll do it. So yeah, I mean,
maybe not today, but in a couple of years for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What are you going to buy though? Like, let's say, for example, you have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. You're probably going to buy properties. How many properties do you need?
I'd buy property.
Right.
One.
Property.
Yeah. One. Yeah. Like, hey, I want a boat. I want a property, you know, one of a couple things, and that's it, you know?
That's just you living your life though.
Right? Correct. Yes.
That's not you exiting.
Yes.
That's more like,
thank you. Yeah. That was, it was just living your life. Yep.
Exactly. That's like, I'm okay with that. That's perfect. Yes. That's smart, right? What else are you're doing it to save time. You're doing it to save, I mean, your life. You're preserving your life.
Living your life. Yeah, exactly. And then you're just preserving the rest. Yeah. Yeah.
Extremely valuable. But like, if you're just selling because you're thinking that, oh, the FBI is involved now and I don't want to hold Bitcoin anymore. I don't know. I don't
Right.
think.
Right. And that is interesting. Yeah.
I think kind of where a lot of Bitcoiners, I don't know what the audience would be like here in terms of this, but like you guys seen businesses before where they vertically integrate and they kind of control their whole, the inflows, where everything goes, everything that, you know, all their partners with everything. I kind of foresee that for people, maybe not at this stage today, but like in the next couple of years, 5 years, 10 years, I think that's going to be a big focus for Bitcoiners, is kind of doing vertical integration in their own life, where they control their own food, they control their own water, they control pretty much as many aspects of their life as they can, just because they've lost complete trust in the system. And I really don't know what that's going to look like, because I think that there's going to be a lot of people that remain stuck in that system by choice or not. And I think Bitcoiners more than anything in the future are just going to have choice. That's what I see. Choice. That's Bitcoiners' biggest thing in the future, is having choice.
That's the key. So sorry. I have a family friend who's selling a condo and they want to leave. I was just thinking, that's your wealth, right? Like that's their savings. They held it for years. They're leaving and now they're forced to sell it at whatever the price the market is going to give. And they have no choice. They can't take it with them. And I think that's one of the massive advantages of Bitcoin over really anything else, right? If you're leaving, like they want to go back to they want to go back to India, so they're from India. They want to go back. They want to go back to the land that they have and all that. But now they have this condo. They bought it at a certain price and they expected it to like go up in value. But now the market's down, and they can't take the condo with them. And holding on to it, think about the headache. You have to deal with tenants,
especially from that far away.
Right. It's impossible. And you don't know who's trying to scam you. You don't know who's trying to screw you over. And like, think about the headache there. Whereas if they just bought Bitcoin, they just take the private keys with them. And actually, Brendan, that's a conversation that maybe I listened to your podcast with Mike Green. That's a conversation that maybe he should have. And like, that's something he should try to understand, because I don't think he even has thought that far into Bitcoin.
Who's Mike Green?
That's really just a big macro investor over the last 15, 20 years. And, you know, he just, to Rajat's point, like I would interview him. I would just try to interview him and just like, hey, what are your thoughts in the world? What's going on? And they just started coming after me, like middle of the interview of like, he had a bone to pick with Bitcoiners. Let's just say that. And, he hasn't done all his homework all the way down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. And so, you know, just thinking, you know, again, all of us have thought of this for 1,000 hours minimum, right? You know, thousands of hours going down to their logical conclusion, taking all this angle. And you can tell like someone like Peter Schiff or Mike Green, or, you know, these really smart guys, like even a George Gammon, really, really smart dudes. And they just haven't taken all, and part of it too, honestly, is I think there's a lack of faith in some of it too. Like a lot of these guys lack the faith in the sense of like humanity and what humanity will do, which I don't begrudge people. Like I know a lot of people are black-pilled right now, but it's just the incentives of the society that are architecture. It's the architecture of deceit right now. And that's what fiat is. It incentivizes everyone to be at each other's throats, long story short, where Bitcoin flips that upside down. But these guys, like, they seemingly are trying to fit like the old world into Bitcoin, and like it just doesn't make sense to them. It's just Bitcoin's just another asset. Maybe that's the best way to say it. They just think it's another asset, and they're just like, well, you know, and they're trying to fit it in round peg square hole, and like they're still on the Titanic. They're just still on the Titanic, and they're just like, yeah, it's still going down. And like Mike Green, he was just arguing with me over and over again that we need to educate people. You know, capitalism is working great. The dollar is there to destroy debt, and that's what it's designed to do. That's what it's for. People need to learn that. They need to understand that. And capitalism incentivizes you to learn that. And if you don't, you're on the street. The problem with that, as we know, though, and I asked him 3 or 4 times, and he would not answer the question, you know, multiple different ways I was trying, is I was like, Mike, I agree with you. We need to re-educate people, but the system won't allow that. The incentive of the system don't align with what you're saying and what I want. What you and I want that's not what the state wants. The governments don't want that. Central banks don't want that. Clearly, government-run education, pop culture, media, that's not the alignment. The alignment is to go the other direction. So how do you out-propagandize the state? You have to rip, in our minds here, it's rip the money printer away from all these people running things, whether they're benevolent or malignant people or not, it doesn't matter. Like the natural ebb and flow of the state is to just get more and more power. History has shown us this for thousands of years. So it's not that one person's evil, or there's 10 or 1,000 people that are evil in government. It's just the natural flow of government. But if you take that mechanism away, then it starts to heal. It's just Jesus and the money changers coming in. And the 2 times he got really mad, when Joe and I talked about this yesterday, is when he kicked the money changers out of the temple. And then what happened? The blind, the weak, the lame, those that were the lowly of society, the meek, the humble, it started to naturally heal, and they slowly came back into the temple as he drove the bad people out, in essence, the money changers, the banking cartel. And so it shows you that the incentives are flipped upside down. And a lot of people, they just assume they start on first base. Like, right, they're playing the game, they start on first base, and they're not starting from first principles. And that's the hardest part. They know so much that isn't so. And they know so much of this old system, Peter Schiff, Mike Green, George Gammon. And I mean, God loves some of these people. Like George Gammon has spent thousands of hours studying the plumbing of this old system. Jeff Snyder, thousands of hours, Eurodollar University and all this stuff. Brilliant dudes. I mean, way smarter than me. And, like 4 of me would equal probably one of these guys' IQ. But that's the problem. Bitcoin's not an IQ test. It's an ego and humility test. And that's where a lot of people fall short. So
that's the whole thing there. Like that's the whole thing with guys like that, is it seems like the longer they've been in something like that, the more time they've allocated to something like that.
Sunk cost fallacy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
100%.
they can't see anything else other than that. And the more invested they are in it, the less likely they are to find something new, because then it seems like they've kind of wasted their whole life.
100%.
Right? Like Bitcoiners, if you want to understand Bitcoin, you pretty much have to start from zero. You have to go in with a completely empty mind, because it's so much different than the system that we've grown up in here. And guys like that, their head's full. And
they've done well.
Stuff. Not wrong.
Yeah. Right.
It's just not what's going to be.
And that's why
it's just ego, right? It's like it keeps them in it, and it stops them from thinking. Like for him, for example, I know that he said that his wife actually suggested that they buy Bitcoin at $25. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't want to admit to her that he's wrong. Maybe he was like, "Oh, I know about finance. You shut up. Stop suggesting stupid things to me. We're not going to do the stupid shit that you're saying." And now, like, he has to admit to her, like, "Hey, I was wrong." And he's not willing to do that, right? And the conversation that he was having there with you, Brandon, it really felt like he was just trying to show you, no, you're young. You don't know.
100%.
Shit. You don't have experience.
Yeah, 100%.
I've gone through it. Like that. It was like, that meme, old man yells at cloud.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it seemed like. He's trying to tell you, nope, get out of this scam. You made money from it. You got lucky. And he doesn't understand it. He doesn't want to admit it. Like I think that's the people in the old system, they can't get away from that. And they need to tell us, like, oh no, you don't know shit. You're a dummy. You're young and stupid. Respect your elders. Like, that's the way they think, right?
100%.
And they can't get away from that. And that's exactly what it was trying. Like, from that conversation, I listened to the whole thing. That's exactly what it seemed like. He was like, oh, sell your Bitcoin.
He's like, get on the crusade. I was like, what's the crusade to you?
Yeah. And he, like, I don't know. It felt like he just wanted you to bow down to him.
Yeah. Yes. In the the problem is the pragmatism, their pragmatism, which I would say all those guys are pragmatic guys in general, the Schiff, Gammon, Jeff Snyder, Mike Green, but their pragmatism leads into that blackpilling. It leads into this lack of faith. It leads into like missing the visionary nature of life. And I think Bitcoiners, we can tend to be too utopian and too visionary at times, but someone has to push that Overton window. And that's what a lot of Bitcoiners are. We're the ones pushing the Overton window. Not that every single thing we say is going to turn out exactly like that, but the problem with like Mike Green, this conversation, it was, he was just accepting life the way it was. It was just like, well, governments have the control of the printer, so don't even worry about it. And I was like, that's for me, like, whoa. Like, money was long way before governments, and it's gonna be long after governments. And that's the thing where right there's a schism. There's a rupture of what we believe and what that Gen X, or a lot of the Gen X's, a lot of boomers don't even get into it. They don't even care. I mean, like it's just, but like this Gen X crowd that for whatever reason, they have a really hard time and really combat. I've talked about this with Dr. Jeff Ross a lot. And he's like, I don't know what it is, man. Like a bunch of my Gen X compadres here, they can't humble themselves to it. And they can't go down and do the thought experiments with it. And they just accept it the way it is. how it is now. And it's like, you do realize that someone came along at some point in society and said, this is what I'm doing now. And then everyone else started conforming to it. We don't have to play that game. I can be that person. We can be that people say, no, we're going a different way. And guess what? Everyone starts conforming to that new path. And that's the thing that these guys they can't understand it. They just like, this is the way it's always going to be. You're always going to have the US dollar. It's always going to be here. And this is what it does right this second. It's like, well, it didn't do that 50 years ago, 55 years ago. In 71, it had a different purpose, and in 1913, there was a different purpose. So it keeps changing. And you're telling me that it won't change ever. Like, it's just like, this is what it is. Educate people in the system as it is now. It's just, and like you said, Rajat, he wanted like me to bow down to it and just be like, you agree with me. And it's like, no, I don't at all. I agree in the sense that we need to educate people, but it's a very different world and how we're going to do that. The incentives don't align with how to do that now. Clearly, we need to flip the system upside down in order to actually incentivize people and show people. I mean, I guess that's maybe more of it. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. We have to show people the way, be the example, see what Bitcoin does, and as it builds and as it grows. And you're not going to just tell people this is what it does clearly. So anyway, I
think it's like the ego thing is a huge thing. I think the ego death is like a massive thing. But if you think about it even more closely, like the people that are, because you mentioned Gen X, and I also witnessed that Gen X is right now between like 45 and 60 years old, around that age range. If you think about that age, that's like your prime of your career. That's like the top of the career ladder, where you are the deepest into whatever you are. You are considered the expert. You are the one that is training the new people. Like, you are the top of the ladder, because after that you're retiring, and before that you're young. And so I try to describe it as the legacy lens. I don't know if this makes sense, but it, like, you are in a system and you're going so deep, and so you're such an expert in a system that you don't really see the outside of it. And so if you are in TradFi, you are working in a fund, you're working for a bank, you're working in like the macro economy, you're so deep ingrained in this fiat system, in this TradFi system, that it's almost impossible to look like, how can it not be there? Like the meme, the fish saying, hey, the water is nice today, and the other fish is saying, like, what is water? That's kind of for me the legacy lens, where those Gen Xers that are like 45 to 60 years old, and hey, there are a lot of Bitcoiners in that crowd too that actually got it, and that are not victim of that legacy. Like that's huge. And so it's like, I think that's what the main problem is. They think they know it all, and they don't even are aware of like the outside world. And it's sad to see, but honestly, I don't know. I'm no longer that concerned about orange pilling people. I don't know how you guys think about that, but I'm not, like, for me, Bitcoin is a force of nature, and you either go with the force of nature or you will be rolled over by it. Like that's literally how I look at it. And if someone doesn't get it, or someone like spits on it, I'm like, I only feel bad for the people listening to you and not for you. Like that's kind of how I look at it these days.
I think there's a group of people that are open to understanding it, and I feel like those are the people that I'd want to like target with education. If I can aim at those people, then it's all worth my time, right? Whereas there are people out there who they just think they know everything, right? And they don't want support. I mean, there's 8 billion people on Earth, right? If you can, my goal is if I can orange pill 1 million people, that's a very small percentage, but if I can do that, I feel like that can really change things. But I mean, most people, like, in that group is just mostly people who just have savings, and they're open-minded, and they have the right mindset towards money, and they're willing to learn, right? And that can exclude all the people who are just closed-minded.
And part of this too, sorry, Jory, I might have cut you off. It was just, we started with the stretch and what's going on here, and stretch is, we can circle back around to that too a little bit, but we've talked a lot about that with nuance, right? A lot of people that are older, they might like stretch. There's, like we said, we talked about boomers, we talked about Gen X. They might be sitting there with a bunch of cash USD, and they're just like, hey, I just want 11.5%. I want some exposure to Bitcoin. I don't really care about this freedom thing. I don't really care about self-custody. I don't really know what's going on. And so I think that's where a lot of this, again, this Gen X thing, these four guys, the Jeff Snyders, all the things we talked about too, there's a great book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. So if anyone who's read that book, phenomenal book. he talks about these different eras of if you weren't born in this 9-year span, you weren't an oil baron. You just didn't have the chance. And this is the whole like life isn't fair. Everyone wants like life to be fair and like, oh, how come it's not all equal? And it's like, well, we're equal people, but there's not equal outcomes, and like everyone's made differently purposely. Otherwise, we'd all be robots. What's the fun in life, right? Like the law of polarity. Jordan, you and I talked about this yesterday. It's the law of polarity here. Maybe it was Robin. I talked to Robin yesterday too. Can't remember. 5 conversations yesterday. So it's Monday's my heavy day, boys. So I'm recuperating a little bit today. This is my easy day with one. And so you have this world where this generation of like 20, call it 20 to 40 or 20 to 45, we're very blessed because we just happened to land on jackpot. Like we just happened to land on that time when we needed it. Because like you guys said, the Gen X didn't need it like we need it. The boomers don't need it like this generation does, like millennials and Gen Z. And so they lived a good life in the sense of they had that opportunity. Things, there was milk and honey flowing. And I was like, oh, everyone's let's go. Rates are coming down for 40, 50 years. And then we were born into just chaos everywhere, just whatever. It was 9/11. It was, constant, .com crash, like all the way up to GFC and COVID and all that stuff. So now it's like, we are the ones that put in the work because we're looking around like, this doesn't make any sense at all. Like, what is happening? So we're the ones that put the work in. And yes, are we younger? Do we not have as much lived experience in life? Yes, Mike Green, yes, George Gammon. Yes, that is true. However, that's what always happens. Necessity is the mother of all invention. And so we're sitting here, like, we don't have any choice. So we put the work in, and now life's starting to go and turn a different way. And so the Malcolm Gladwell part of it, again, was just, like you look at the oil barons, you look at Bill Gates, you look at the .com or the .com boom and all that. None of us could have done that. We weren't born yet. Again, life's not fair. Like we can't go invent Microsoft now. And that's just how life works. But you can be part of Bitcoin now at whatever age. Maybe we're the best for it in the sense of the 20 to 45. We have some money, we have some experience, whatever, we're working. And so we're the ones in that place. And then the other thing I'll say too is like, again, Bitcoin's back at 80 or 80,000 or 82,000, whatever. And it's like, I thought it was dead. I just tuned out the last 6 months. I've been here having fun with you guys. I didn't even know. I didn't know Bitcoin is a thing anymore. I thought it was dead. And here we are. It's back, guys. It's like, at what point do people wake up? It's either going to zero or it's going to infinity. It's binary. There is no middle ground. And that's what I think that people are just having such a hard time. It's breaking brains everywhere. And this, just more, the pain will increase on people. We will show people the way through how we act and as an example and just being a good example. And people will build our cities, will build our freedom citadels or freedom cities and all this stuff. And people will eventually come that direction. Just like we see the states and people laugh. It's like, look at the states. You have people leaving blue states all over the United States, going to red states. Interesting. That's pretty fascinating. So the brain drain happens. The brain drain is going to happen from the legacy world into the Bitcoin world as well.
Yeah.
Well I think that I'm looking at these chats here. It's pretty funny to watch. Before I got into Bitcoin, I didn't even realize that there was different generations, but I see from everybody's perspective now. And I think that one thing I've seen in the last couple of years more than anything else is kind of what we were talking about there with Mike Green. It's like the longer you spend in a system, the more you learn about that system, the fuller your head is, and there's less space. Like there's only so much things that you can think about and how much energy you can exert into each topic each day. So I get it. And I think that that's why for baby boomers and Gen X, I think that more than anything else, I'm very impressed with them because Brandon, you and I have talked about this before in terms of like people become their environment. People become their environment, whether it's a fish in water, they obviously are pretty good at that environment, or just having been brainwashed and put through this system. And baby boomers, Gen X, they've spent longer in that system. That environment's more ingrained in who they are. And so I think for any of them to kind of break free of that system,
most impressive,
huge thing.
Easily.
It's rare.
Yep.
But I think both those two categories there. And I think that that's another thing I always come back to too, is like, I think millennials kind of were born in the sweet spot. Gen X kind of in there as well, where we have enough capital that we can allocate to Bitcoin and we have time, I guess, to enjoy that eventually, right? Like baby boomers have a ton of capital, but they don't have as much time as somebody who's 20 years old. 20-year-old Gen Z, they got hopefully a lot of time, probably more time than we can even think of right now, but they don't have any capital to buy Bitcoin. So it's like, you can't have the best of everything here. And that's kind of why I think millennials are kind of right in the sweet spot there, where we have a bit of capital, where we can still see the appreciation of it, but we also have time. So
am I the only Gen Z here?
I think
so.
Are
you Gen Z?
I'm Gen Z.
Yeah, he's
actually.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because I think the cutoff's around 30 years old, I believe. Somewhere around there right now. I'm pretty sure.
It's 1997. I think you are still Gen Z. And so like 1996 is if you're then millennial, and so like you're either 29, like if you're 29 and born in certain months, you're still Gen Z, but like most of them are like now around like the millennial age. But yeah, it's crazy because if you think about like when I first came into Bitcoin, I thought everyone is like young as me. Then I went to those first meetups. I'm like, oh gosh, they're all like my dad's age. They're all like 10, 20, sometimes 30 years older than me. That's kind of like not what I was expecting. And so like someone was, I think Brad something was writing like, you guys don't get it because like a lot of OGs are Gen Xers. And he's 100% correct. Like there's a amazing Gen Xers in the Bitcoin space. The point is I was trying to make is out of that crowd, they are also the hardest critics of Bitcoin. The people that are the most ignorant against Bitcoin with the most confidence against Bitcoin coming there. So it's like they are the best because it's the height of your life, kind of like you have the most capital, you still have life to live. You are at the end of like there is, if life does you well, this should be the height of your confidence and like the peak of your life kind of a thing. And after that, it's like a little bit more chill, a little bit more relaxed, hopefully. Like, I don't know, Warren Buffett, I guess it was a different story. For Saylor, it probably is a different story. So, but like for most people. So it's not a, like if I look at my YouTube statistics, most people are over 35, which like shocked me because I'm like 27 years old. And so it's not at this at all at that crowd because there are a lot of Bitcoiners in that crowd. It's just that the critics, the hard critics also come from that crowd, unfortunately, and are very loud and confident.
I think the least impressive or the most disappointing is people who are millennials and Gen Z who ignore Bitcoin.
On down. Yeah, it's a scale. Like most impressive boomers, and to me, it just keeps going down. Like the younger you are and you don't get it, I'm just like, the heck are you doing?
Agreed.
So true, Rajat.
And it's crazy because like they grew up with the internet, and literally everything they had was on the internet. Music was on the internet. Video games were on the internet. Everything was on the internet. We grew up.
You're missing the money component, though.
Yeah,
that's it.
Money and history. I think that's the component that they're missing.
Oh, so I guess that's what it is, right? If you're a baby boomer and you understand, if you're a baby boomer and you have some wealth, you understand money, right? You might understand money. And if you got lucky, then you probably don't understand money. But there are baby boomers who understand wealth. They built wealth. They understand how money works. And they have even a limited understanding of computers. They can kind of grasp what Bitcoin is, right? Whereas if the Gen Z who don't have any experience with money, like they haven't spent their time with money. I know Robin, you are running your own business, and that's really great. There are a lot of Gen Z who are like that, but then there are Gen Z on the other side of things, like the complete opposite, who they have no clue what money is. They have no idea. Like all they know is that this money is this
I would even go further. I'm sorry to interrupt. I would just even go further because I know, of course, a lot of Gen Zs because it's like my generation. If you are Gen Z right now and you are a person that is critical thinking and taking responsibility for your own action, you are ahead of 99.9% of the crowd. It's so fascinating. Nobody's doing any research. Nobody's taking responsibility for their own actions. Nobody is doing anything. And so you can just stand out by doing the bare minimum. And everyone is like, wow, he's doing amazing. He's working hard. Like he's doing all those things. No, he's doing the bare minimum. And he's just a human being taking responsibility for his own actions. And I don't know how it's in other generations, but like especially in Gen Z, I see it a lot. Like just taking responsibilities, you're above average already.
The crazy thing is that this applies to a lot more than just money, right? It applies to your whole life in general. Like what I see is like people always tell me, "Oh, you did a really great job with your YouTube. You must be like special. You must be different. You got lucky with the algorithm." But no, that's not the case. It's just because I kept posting, right? And I like to watch videos on this is how you make your YouTube channel better, and just learning how the algorithm and all that stuff works, how to make better videos, like different concepts, right? Sorry, what did you say, Joe? I didn't hear you.
Oh man,
I said, what a concept. Just so few people actually give
that's
a shit.
wild. The barrier is so low. Yeah.
And like in those videos, I always see these comments. They're like, "Oh, you guys are so lucky. You guys have worked so hard. You've spent so much time making videos. I've been making videos for 12 years and I haven't gotten any traction." And then I go to their channel. They literally have like 4 videos up. One was posted 12 years ago. One was posted 8 years ago. One was posted 6 years ago. And then the last one they posted was like last week. And they're expecting that, oh, this video is going to do really well because I've been doing it for so long. But that's the thing, right? It's consistency. It's just putting in the time, putting in the effort. And like Robin said there, if you're a Gen Z and you're doing that, if you're taking accountability for your future, you're ahead of 99% of people. It's actually so easy to get ahead of majority of people. Like they don't care. They don't care.
Because they have no hope.
Yes.
It's true. Julian Figueroa, when we were in Vegas last week, he had told me that his channel, which has got to be a complete outlier. I would imagine there's really no one else. Maybe Isabella, but his channel is like 15 or 20%, like 18 and under or something like that. So
really? Wow.
yeah. So just crazy. I mean, there's got to be no one even close to that. Again, maybe Isabella.
Number,
yeah, it's a big number. I mean, I think mine's like 0. It's like a rounding error. Rounds to 0, maybe like 18 and under. So that's really, really interesting. But it is a spectrum, Rajat. Like it's just most impressive. That's why I look at like the Larry Lepards of the world, the Bob Burnett's, like a lot of these guys where I'm like, man, like that is wild. Like how you can have that much lived experience and still be that open-minded that like, hey, this 68 years I've lived or 60 or 75 years could be wrong. Yeah. And that to me is so impressive. Yeah. Oh, and then the younger it gets, it's just like the less and less impressive it is. It's just like, okay, then you're like, and I do feel like it's a litmus test. Like at this point, 17 years in, and again, it's still very early overall. And it's been 17 years, which is not a long period of time in the grand scheme of life. But at the same time, at what point do you kind of look around and use it as that litmus test of not just like who you want to be around, but like who is it safe to be around? I've been thinking about that for a number of years because that to me, again, it's the litmus test of open-mindedness and how closed off are you to reality, which is just searching for answers, asking why, digging deeper, just any way you want to kind of cut it. So that to me has been something I've been thinking about for a while. Like, where is that cutoff? And do you know what that cutoff is? Like, are there going to be signposts in society? Is it just Bitcoin? Like, again, Bitcoin to me is that litmus test. And do you have an origin story about it? Like, do you have some type of story about it? And if you don't, man, you're just talk about an NPC. Like, it's just like, whoa, okay, stay away. You got to stay far away from me because you're kind of dangerous at this point. Like, I'm just gonna say it out loud. Like, you're kind of might be a little dangerous. So interesting. Very interesting.
And like you can tell that a lot of these people haven't actually tested their theories. Like with Mike Green, actually in another, I keep picking on him, but in another one of his interviews, he was talking about how young people won't be able to buy houses on a Bitcoin standard because they can't borrow money. Like, what's the irony?
Yeah, he doesn't believe there'll be any lending. Yeah.
Like, think about what's the irony there. Are young people buying houses today?
They're not. No. Right. And
like, how do you not get that? How do you not understand? Like, how does he not get it?
Because he's so far removed from it.
Right.
Yeah.
He has it very good. It goes back to Rajat. The other thing I was going to say too was that the other big thing he had was like how are you going to do that? Like all the Bitcoin's been mined. Like in the future, like how is someone going to get the Bitcoin? Because you guys, everyone has it already, and it's like, whoa. Like when I'm born, and then he was like trying to check me on. I was like, well, the Social Security number here in America, that's just a debt number. That's so they can track you and hang the debt per citizen on top. He's like, no, it's not. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro. And so like this is the cognitive dissonance because as I'm in it, like I'm just kind of thinking, I'm like, because again, I wasn't ready. It caught me flat-footed, and then I'm like thinking, I'm like, I thought he was slightly more aligned in the sense of like, I knew he wasn't like a big Bitcoin bro, but I was just like, hold on. I'm like in my head, like just racing around trying to think of like, am I saying this incorrectly? Whatever. And then he was like, well, how? And so then he goes from that angle to like, it's not the debt. The Social Security, your birth certificate is not hanging the debt on you, which it is. I mean, you go look at usadebtclock.org, debt per citizen, debt, boom. As soon as you're born, you have all this debt. Not only that, he told me in that interview that you can't have Bitcoin because now when it's all mined or it's all out there, how am I going to get any basically? And it's like, bro, like my family came over here way later, didn't get Malibu real estate early. All of our families here in Americas, Robin's still over in Europe, but the families that came over here, weren't just gifted, at Ellis Island. Like, here you go. You want some Malibu, Miami real estate? Or like when you're born, they're not like spraying you with a trust fund. Like, oh, here's currency all over the place and sprinkling on your family. It's like, it couldn't be more backwards. But he thinks you can't get Bitcoin when you're older, or when it's gone, because it's gone. So good luck. And then, conversely, he was telling me it wasn't debt that was hung on every citizen, and that's your social security number. As soon as you're born, you're in the hospital. Boom, there you go. That's how backwards. And he's a smart dude, probably 150 to 180 IQ guy. I mean, that's mind blowing.
Definition of the peak of the bell curve.
Yeah,
easily.
The peak of Mount Stupid.
Well, he's so
too smart.
And he's too smart. That's the thing. Is like the people who aren't that smart, they're like, okay, well, let's just keep it very simple here. They print this currency. They don't print this currency. I'm going to buy the currency that they don't print. Okay. And then people on the other side of the bell curve are like, okay, well, this really makes sense because I understand history. I understand economics. I understand hard money. I understand how things change and evolve over time. So I'm going to hold some Bitcoin. Maybe I'm not on a podcast. Maybe I'm not 100% allocated to Bitcoin, but this thing makes a lot of sense to me. But people like that are at the top of the bell curve where they put so much energy into something, but they're wrong about it. It's like somebody who's like, it's that you say practice makes perfect, but if you're practicing the wrong thing, you're going to be perfectly bad. Yep. Perfectly stupid.
Perfectly wrong. Yeah.
Right. Perfectly wrong. Right. Like that's what it is.
And I always love the logic mistakes they're making. So when I hear this argument, what Brandon was, I did not see the interview, but like what you just said is, I don't think Bitcoin will succeed because there will not be any more mined. And this just is like, okay, so you think Bitcoin will be such an amazing asset that nobody wants to sell it for whatever price. So that's what you're basically saying. Like it will be so drastically amazing that no matter how high the price is going, nobody is selling it to you. Nobody is exchanging it for whatever other thing you can give to people. I'm like, and
no one needs to buy goods and services ever, Robin, ever. Literally. Yeah,
exactly. It's like how do you like what is going on in that moment? So it's really
literally it literally went against everything he said in essence, like you said, like because not in two ways. You're saying no one will ever need to buy anything ever again because it's such an amazing asset, such an amazing money that I will just want to hold the money and like stare at my hardware wallet, and I'll never need a car or need food, or I'll never need any of that again. But at the same time, even if you were thinking from a fiat mindset, Mike, wouldn't you want to get a bunch of Bitcoin? Because if it was going to go that high and everyone was bidding against it and no one would sell, it's just going to go to infinity because no one's going to sell. Like you'd want to hold that asset. Like it made sense from neither the Bitcoin side nor the fiat side. I mean, it's just like you makes your eyes want to bleed. That's it.
It's similar to what Peter Zahan said, right, in his conversation with Joe Rogan, where he was like,
another Gen Xer.
So all the people who own Bitcoin are going to get wealthy, and the price is going to go up forever. No way, not on my watch. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to convince everybody to not buy Bitcoin. Like that's basically what he was saying, right? And that's crazy because he could, instead of going on a podcast and talking about something that he didn't understand, he could have gone and studied Bitcoin. Like he could have watched one video on YouTube. Have you guys seen Lynn Alden's video? She has one video and she just posted.
Yeah.
And
so good.
He's crushing us all and she's
crushing it. Yeah.
Like
good.
All you have to do is watch that one video, 30 minutes, and you're good. You don't need to make stupid arguments like the ones that you did and be a ridicule, like a joke for the rest of the world to just laugh at, right? And that's, I don't know, even on the podcast, like it really seemed like he just couldn't see it because he didn't understand the value and he thought nobody else can understand the value either.
And part of it too is ego. Like you guys said earlier, it's like, it's just ego. It's an ego test. It's like my wife said this, my brother-in-law said that, and now I'm pissed off and I don't want to admit that was right. Period. All of us bought at some point for the first time, and there was a ton of people that bought before us.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, that's going to be the case forever. I mean, it's like I bought last week or something like that. And guess what? There was 10 million people that bought before that buy, like, it's like, that's always going to be the case. And then eventually you can't buy it. It's like, and going back to two, you only work and mine it eventually because it won't be the US dollar or these, these cuck bucks anywhere. But you have this world where, like we were saying earlier, like you can't, you're not going to get any more of it, or it's going to be mine. It's the freest and fairest system. Like if you were going to design a system, how could you design a freer and fairer system than this? Where like the Cantillon effect with the currency, it's a bunch of guys that went to a private island somewhere, designed it, Jekyll Island, all these systems are created in behind closed doors, very opaque. And then you have to basically go to the halls of power in order to get more of it. That's what a lot of these politicians have figured out. They're like, okay, I just need to go do that. Or Warren Buffett, God love him, or whoever. It's like, they figured out, I need to get close to the money printer. That's how I'm going to make my special connection, whatever. And then you have Bitcoin in contrast, where the only way you can do it is, yes, you can buy it now with your previous fiat, your previous work and energy, or energy. Yeah. Right. And so you can do it, or eventually it's just going to be that what Robin is saying, like, guys, you're going to need goods and services at some day when it's just a Bitcoin standard. If you don't provide value for society, then you won't get more Bitcoin. You can spend your Bitcoin, but you won't get more of it. And so that's this changing of the guard, this bridge to this new world that, again, it's tough, it's just very tough for people. And what's the saying of, science progresses one funeral at a time. And that's just the way of the world, unfortunately.
And I think it's, oh, go ahead.
It really feels like what you said before was true, Brandon. You said that people like this are dangerous. Like they actually are, because it feels like he's competing with his wife. Right.
Weird. There's a bunch of comments saying that.
And that's weird as
never
fuck.
Do that.
Sorry, I just swore, but that's really weird to me. Like the fact that like I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure, like his wife probably doesn't have a financial education. She probably just heard about it on some random podcast, and he thinks that, oh, she's an idiot. She doesn't understand money. I'm the one who's taking care of the money for the house. So why would I listen to her? And like, that's what I mean, right? If you can't even, like, if you're competing with your wife, then what do you think of some random guy on a podcast? That's your competition. You want to just kill them, right? Like that's your prey, if anything, right? And like if you can't take ideas from your wife, the person that you spend your entire life with, like how are you gonna get along with society, right? And that's, to me, that's really dangerous. To me, that's like always like, what is this guy gonna do to backstab me? How is this guy gonna try to hurt me? Like how is he gonna try to take what I have to prove that he's right?
What's really sinister is. And again, we're not saying that that's Mike Green, right? And that's not what Rajat is saying, nor am I or any of us. But it's an analogy, or maybe not an analogy, but let's just extend it to its logical end conclusion again. What happens in the greater US dollar network? We're seeing it right now. If you go against the fiat system, you are taken out. That's what happens all over. War all over the place. And we've seen it with the US the last, 30, well, I mean, for a long time, long time. But if you go against the system, Gaddafi, I'm trying to think, Saddam Hussein. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you see, if you leave the network, that makes the network weaker. And no one, and then internally, domestically, what do? We track everyone. Yes, now it used to be $10,000. Now it's $600. It's this the room keeps closing in on you. If you dare leave the network, because it's the only way. I mean, who in their right mind would choose to use a money that steals from them? No human being on earth would choose to do that unless they were coerced to do it. And there's just coercion everywhere. So when you take it to its logical end conclusion, what's actually happening, this is why I've been thinking about this for years. And this is why, Rajat, you just said that as well. Because when you keep backing it like into more and more micro, like just your daily basis, you're kind of looking around. And even though the guy on the street is not, he's not saying you should use the dollar because it's going to make mine weaker if you leave the network. He's dangerous in a different way. I mean, they're similar. It's a similar way, but he's dangerous in the sense of he's like mad. It's this ego and pride thing. So now we get to the very microest of level, the most micro level, and it's just people mad at you. Look, we've seen the articles. Bitcoiners are psychopaths. Hey, they're to blame. They took down the system, and that's kind of what it just doesn't get talked about very much because this is obviously a very polarizing issue. But I think it's going to come more. I think this talk's going to start happening more. I guess maybe let's just say that.
It's like what Jor said. We were having a conversation about this, and Jor's like, all he had to say was vote harder. And when I listened to it, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what he said.
Literally.
That's what he's saying.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead, Jor.
I was just going to say, like, look back at history. Look how many examples in history of people going against the grain and what ended up to them. You know, the cool thing about what we got going here with Bitcoin that gives me a lot of hope is that we're multiplying. Like it's an idea now. It's an idea that can't be stopped. It won't be stopped. And it's really only a matter of time. And that's going to be the real interesting thing to me, because Mike's big thing was like, we need to educate more people. Okay. Well, that's a good point, because the reason why this system that we all despise so much, the system that's stolen from every single one of us in many ways, the reason why that system has been allowed to continue is because they've kept everything in the dark. Like up until 10 years ago, hardly anybody knew any of this stuff. Like they didn't know what a fiat dollar was. They didn't know about Jekyll Island. They didn't know about the Federal Reserve. Like really, central banks, nobody knew any of this stuff. And so now we have this. Yeah, I mean, that was a big part of it.
Definitely since then. Yeah, for sure.
And
yeah,
so
I mean, like no one said fiat.
Now where,
yeah.
I was just going to say, like, we're at the point now where people have this information. People are seeing it. And so like, it's interesting to me what happens next. It's obvious that nobody's going to do anything when nobody knows there's a problem. But now that people know that there's a problem, what happens now? And that system is going to work as hard as it possibly can to try to make us look like the crazy ones, to fight against us, to get people from that system who are still in the dark to be mad at us. But I think that we're going to win this, because you cannot stop an idea like this.
No.
And it's, you know, nothing's going to stop what's coming here. It's just how long, I guess.
Yeah.
That's it.
I wanna we got sidetracked really quickly.
And we started with Stretch.
I know.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about Stretch a second ago.
we just did a 46-minute long intro to the whole topic.
Oh boy.
And I literally just took that topic today because I thought like it might fit nicely, because today is the earnings call, and I'm super excited about it. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have been up to, and that what kind of the things are and what they're developing. How do you guys actually look at now that it has been around since, I don't know, 8 months, 9 months, the Stretch product? How do you look at strategy, and what are you kind of expecting from, I don't know, do you guys think about what you're kind of expecting from an earnings call? Like, do you like have thoughts before going in to see kind of like what they might do?
I don't like listening to earnings calls. I'd rather just buy Bitcoin, right? And like afterwards, just try to see like if there's, because I don't buy stocks, right? I don't really care to buy. The only stock that I own is MicroStrategy, but even then, I don't want to listen to earnings calls. That was one of the reasons why I didn't want to own stocks, right? And that's one of the reasons why I left my job in finance. I don't like doing that kind of stuff. I don't like reading about numbers. I'd rather like watch. I'd rather listen to a podcast.
Yep. Right,
and learn something that's, because an earnings call is temporary, right? It's going to be, the information in it is not going to last forever. It's almost this like sensationalism to me. I would rather listen to somebody who makes a podcast about the earnings call, and they say, hey, this is the long-term implication. This is where I believe things are going. I find that more valuable. Do you guys actually like listening to those earnings calls from Strategy?
I like earnings call in general. I might be a little weirdly linked like that, but I come from picking stocks. So like before Bitcoin, all I did is picking stocks, and it is a part-time job, but I loved it. It was I'm weird with that. I might be one of the few people that actually enjoys doing that, and I missed it a little bit with Bitcoin because there's no earnings call with Bitcoin, and podcasts were actually the closest things to our earnings call, because we are just talking about Bitcoin and how what kind of has happened, why the fundamentals, all of those things, and so I didn't have an earnings call for almost 6 years, like 2020. No,
Robin's itching. He's like, I need an earnings call. I need that.
I want to listen to the earnings call. Like I want to judge the management team. I want to see what they're doing. Like I had a season where I had like 5 to 7 stocks in my portfolio usually, and I listened to all the earnings call, and it was like earnings season, and I hated when like 2 earnings call were like on top of each other, because then like I had to listen to it afterwards. Man, I love that shit.
You are a psychopath.
I am a psychopath. Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Damn. That's So I mean, I used to like jump on. I'd watch some earning calls back in the day, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess it was 8 to 10 years ago, whenever I really started grokking Bitcoin. That's when because I was having issues with the real estate business I was in, just investing in gold and silver, stocks, stuff like that, where I was just like, this is just nonsensical. Like the amount of, part of the reason I came to Bitcoin was because of, like, Rajat, what you just said, like, I don't have to do that. And that's where I looked around and I was like, if I'm having to do all of this work, how the hell is the average guy going to do any of this? Which they aren't, and they won't, So, and that's one of the reasons I came to Bitcoin. So yes, do I listen to earnings calls anymore? I think I've listened to one of Strategy's, one or a couple in the last few years, but that's it. And that's it at all. And just to kind of see what they're doing to that point, Robin. So like, that's kind of the grand, like, thing where I came from, coming from those worlds and doing much more of that, and like doing it because I needed to do it. I'm also a numbers guy, but I needed to do it in the fiat world, but didn't want to do it actually. So I was okay doing it because I'm a numbers guy. But all that being said, I think the other question is too, that I'll throw out there as well, that we can kind of bat around, is, someone mentioned it earlier, what other things will Strategy build, like vertically integrate, build themselves, acquire? That to me, the Warren Buffett snowball, all this stuff, right? That to me is fascinating. And I would love to know, so to, maybe to Robin or, you guys that have listened to it before, what they're doing. Because I know like 21, Jack Mallers, those guys, Tether, they've mentioned things like that. We're going to build Bitcoin products, tools, etc. Jack Dorsey style, because I've been waiting for that. Like, that's the thing I've been waiting for, to see other massive entrepreneurs. I think it's coming in the next 5 or 10 years from people like us, like the plebs that have been in the last 5 or 10 years. I think that we're going to get to a point where that wealth hits a certain saturation level, where there's enough plebs with enough amount of wealth where they go ham and they just start building goods and services. I think that's coming, but I think that's still 5 to 10 years away. But this crop of people that already are 100 millionaires in USD terms and above, I've been waiting for that. Now there's not as many of those people, so it's a smaller crop to pick from. And so Strategy, 21, Capital, a handful of these guys, that to me is the killer app. That to me is the interesting thing. So I would do it, Robin, just to see, like, hey, when are you guys going to build stuff? When are people going to be building things? So to me, it's interesting in that regard.
I think he's been asked that recently, and they just keep saying like they're focused on digital credit, which is STRC. Mm-hmm. STRC, amazing product. Probably, I like to say revolutionary, because it is just the way that they designed it. I see BitBilly in the chat saying utilizing AI to build that way. Brilliant. Like, there's not many people who have come out and said, as a CEO of a public company, hey, AI built this product for us. Pretty cool.
Wild.
But I mean, at the same time, it's like first principles, you back with Bitcoin, it's going to succeed, right? Like that's where we are right now. So I made a video last week and I basically called STRC holders stupid. And there was a lot of negative comments in my section, as you would imagine. I didn't really mean it that way. It was kind of taken out of context. I said, like, there's a certain place for it. Definitely retirees who have money in a money mart makes way more sense. But I think that the biggest beneficiaries of STRC aren't going to be the people getting 11.5%. It's going to be people who are holding Bitcoin in self-custody, because they're going to get the unlimited upside of it and the unlimited freedom of it, where you're not trusting anybody. You don't need anybody's permission with it. You can go anywhere on this planet with it. Meanwhile, you have constant demand from Saylor, because the rest of the market hasn't figured out how important self-custody Bitcoin is yet, and they're playing the fiat games. So it's one of those things where it's a super interesting, probably the most innovative product in history, how it's built, how it's designed, and how useful it is. Really, like it's
total
selling
blue
itself.
ocean. Yeah,
like there's no competition to it right now.
Yeah. How about that chart he just shared last week or whatever it was? Like all the preferreds, it's just like,
it's like it's a joke.
Everyone else is like, you can't even see it. It's hilarious.
It's a joke. So
it's a joke.
It's a very easy product to access. You don't have to watch 100 hours of YouTube videos to try to figure out how to hold it. You can still beat the market, but at the same time, it's all funneling to Bitcoiners, self-custody Bitcoiners. I think MSTR holders too are kind of left out of this right now, but they're going to see huge implications of it in the future. And that's kind of what Saylor said. It's like Saylor takes a lot of shit from people, but during that presentation that he gave at Vegas, he basically said, if you got 6 months, I think 6 to 12 months where you need that capital, STRC makes a lot of sense.
Yep. It's time.
If you
it's
got
all
a 10-year plus time horizon, Bitcoin in self-custody, own the asset, own the commodity.
Yes.
And he said, if you want to kind of boost that and juice that up a little bit, then you hold MSTR, you hold the equity. Yep. So he's not trying to trick anybody here. I think that's what people are missing, right? So that was my takeaway from it.
he's trying to build a yield curve, right? Where as your time horizon gets longer, you get more of a return. You're going to get more volatility. But if your time horizon is short, you're going to get a smaller, more fixed return, and you're not going to face volatility. That's what he created, right? And all the preferred instruments that they created are a result of that.
Yep, 100%.
You guys hold any stretch?
No.
I do not. So I have a tiny, small fraction of my portfolio in MicroStrategy because my wife had an old existing, retirement thing from an old job that she, whatever, like got stranded. So whenever it was, I don't know, years ago, whatever, 4 or 5 years ago, I put it into MicroStrategy at that time. And it just sits there. I don't even check it, to be quite honest. I literally don't even check it. It's just been growing, but I don't check it over the years. I have an idea of where it's at, type of thing, but I had to find a login. I guess maybe I got to find the login. I don't check it that way. Literally,
you forgot your MSTR password.
Literally, I have to go look it up. The other question I want to throw at you guys though is, because this is the other interesting thing, is for a stretch, when do they start feeling a pinch? Because at some point, whether it's a year from now or a couple of years from now, if this keeps up, you would imagine the banks are going to feel they're going to get hit at some point with deposit flight out of the banking system. I mean, where in your guys' mind, like when do you think that happens? Because that to me is like when the rubber really meets the road. Because if you have 11.5% and there's nothing even really close to that, I mean, is there anything even close to that right now out there? That's so. That to me is good, because again, right now people don't even know. I mean, I was mentioning this to somebody yesterday that one of my family members, whatever extended family members, they're finance bro, whatever, and he didn't even know what strategy was. And so, like, again, it just shows you how early we are in all of this, And so, and I have another Wall Street family member who didn't even 2 years ago was just completely oblivious to Bitcoin in general, and private equity guy, Wall Street bro, 40 something year old, type of thing. So that to me is interesting. So I love your guys' thoughts on just if you thought of that at all, because that to me is when the rubber really starts meeting the road and the banks are getting hurt by capital flight out of that into stretch.
I think it's just a matter of time. Like I said, it's kind of selling itself right now.
Yeah.
Like it's going to spread. I feel like every holiday you have like that, and every kind of event, they only happen certain times every year.
Right.
But like Thanksgivings, the Christmases, somebody's like, hey, I'm getting 11.5%. I'm not paying a financial advisor anymore. And somebody's sitting there at the table. They're like, what? Last year I got 4% and I paid a 2% fee to my advisor. Like, what's going on? So I think the product sells itself. In terms of the banks though, I think they're shitting their pants right now.
Yeah,
I really do. But that's the whole thing. It's like these last 5 years while Saylor's been accumulating
just hate
that was
to
like
see
the
it.
That was like the what had to be done. And it's like nobody's going to come close. Brandon, you mentioned the percentage there. Nobody's going to come close to that rate because they're not going to come close to the Bitcoin. Like no other entity on this planet, US government, the UAE, Russia, China, nobody's going to catch strategy. And so if this does play out the way we expect it to, they're the ones holding the cards. As long as they can keep that secure, I guess that's another question, and where it is. But if they actually have the Bitcoin and they figure out, I kind of mentioned that too in the video. I said like, okay, they built this product. It's doing very well. They're promoting it. Now they need to figure out how they're going to secure that capital, because you can't be trusting Coinbase and Fidelity and all these different institutions to hold it for you. You need to build that fortress around your company. Where nobody can attack you, nobody can rug you, nobody can subpoena you. It has to be spread out, and Bitcoin allows for that, which is really cool.
Do you think proof of reserves? We got into this yesterday, I think in the Bitcast or something like that. But like proof of reserves, do you guys think that's holding Stretch back, and like even strategy? Like, is there a chance that that's holding it back even more? Where people, like some people would come in, or a lot of people might be waiting. We're like, do you have it? Because that's a very big thing with Bitcoin, obviously. And if we know where it's there, people might be even more inclined, obviously, whether it's Bitcoiners or normies or whoever.
I don't think so, because I feel like the people who want Stretch, they don't care about that.
They don't care at all. Yeah.
I don't think they care about the features and benefits of Bitcoin. I think all they care about is the 11.5%. And that's what Jor was saying. I think that's what makes it such a perfect product. They don't need to care about Bitcoin's features and benefits. They don't need to care about proof of reserves. They don't need to. They don't even know what Bitcoin is.
Right. True.
I mean, ideally they should. I would hope that they figure it out, and they would probably be better off holding Bitcoin. But it's just another it's another way to like the other people's money strategy, right? When you hear people talking about how they invest in real estate, they buy real estate with other people's money, and that's what strategy is doing. It's just buying Bitcoin with other people's money, and it's buying that Bitcoin from using money from people who don't understand Bitcoin, and that's the asymmetrical advantage for MSTR holders.
You know what? And that's what a bank is. That's what Warren Buffett did. You know, we've been talking about banks. We've been talking about Warren Buffett. What did they do? You know, banks raise money. You you give a deposit and you become a money lender. You now lent the bank your money and they go invest it for you because you're basically saying, I don't know what the hell to do with my money. So here, you go do it. And that's what Warren Buffett did. He raised money. He took other people's money and then he invested it because he was better at it than you were, or he at least, people thought he was or whatever. So that's the whole system. And so we always talk about is Saylor a bank? Well, he is technically, right? Or he's this thing. I mean, I don't know what you want to call him, but he's doing what Buffett did. He's doing what banks do and just taking your money, saying I'm a better allocator. And he's just turning around and buying Bitcoin with it. That's all he's doing.
And when REITs do this, like when REITs borrow money from a bank and they buy real estate and they share the profits with you, nobody has a problem with that. But they have a problem with people doing that with Bitcoin because they don't understand what Bitcoin is. That's the key reason. They do it. They're so concerned with it because they don't understand Bitcoin. And once they figure out what Bitcoin is, I mean, at that point, I don't know, it'll probably the average person won't figure out Bitcoin until it's like $10 million.
Right.
It's also their environment though, too. Going back to what we were talking about. It's not that they need to spend time in Bitcoin. They've just been so ingrained in that environment, which is real estate is good. Banks are good. Governments are trustworthy. Like that's the environment. That's how most people think. Right. And so I don't know, kind of on the proof of reserves, my take is like, I've been very vocal on YouTube for the last couple of years of like, where's the Bitcoin? Where's the Bitcoin? Prove it. You got this much Bitcoin, prove it. It's easy to send out a tweet and say, hey, I have this much Bitcoin, this cost base.
Right.
Where is it? But I was kind of thinking like selfishly for me, for somebody who actually understands the importance of holding, in self-custody or otherwise, but showing that and verifying as a Bitcoiner. But I don't think Saylor really cares about people like me because somebody like me, I don't trust people. So therefore I'm in Bitcoin, I'm holding the asset. Whereas the one that Saylor's audience that he's talking to, he's thinking like 50 years out where everything's going to come together here. That's where he's most concerned. So I think that whether or not it is actually a privacy breach for him to share his addresses, I don't think that it is personally, but if that's what he thinks and he's trying to protect the asset as best he can right now, it doesn't really do him much benefit to show proof of reserves. Because again, he's not targeting guys like me or you or Rajat or Robin.
Right.
He's targeting people who want returns, who want cash flows. And so I think that he's kind of playing the longer game. And I couldn't really see that before. I thought that he was talking to people like me, but I'm not Saylor's client. He's thinking further out here. So I think he's going to build things in place. He'll definitely show proof of reserves at some point, but I think that he's going to make sure that his foundation is rock solid before he goes down that road. That just seems like a Saylor thing to do.
I'm not sure if he ever does proof of reserves. Like I have no clue about like 20, 30, 50 years. Like a lot can happen. But think about all the scrutiny, all the things that he has to go through to show proof of reserve, and think about the chaos that will break out if there's an address that all the Twitter trolls of strategy and like the haters of strategy are looking 24/7. And if there's some funds leaving and people like, oh, he's selling Bitcoin. Oh, like I don't know if the massive attack surface that he puts out there, just to be transparent, are so beneficial to him and to the shareholders that the scrutiny that he gets from that, the public scrutiny, the transparent, like think about the address management. Maybe he just like moves something in the better custody. Maybe he moves something around. People see it, make an article, make a hit with it. And like like there is so much money into strategy and so many eyes on strategy on Saylor every single day. That would be just another headache that he has to deal with on a potentially daily basis. So as a Bitcoiner, I would fucking love to see proof of reserve. But I also trust Saylor that he's not an FTX Celsius thing. Like he has literally like, I don't know, 2-3 companies that anyways audit him. Like I don't think that Saylor is rehypothecating Bitcoin. I don't think he's reporting more Bitcoin than he actually has. And so like if what is the upside to that and what is the downside to that? Like I have a hard time seeing actual proof of reserve of strategy might change in 20 years. I don't see it anywhere close to like the next 5 years, maybe 10 years. It's just like when I think right now, put yourself in Saylor's shoes, like all the headaches that you have to deal with already, and then like you want to have another headache, and people like telling you like, oh, you sold Bitcoin, like it's not really happening anyway. So I don't know. That's just my thought on it.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And I think that maybe when you consider that, maybe it's just because you're talking about like moving coins and like the public perception of that, another headache. What if Saylor just kind of understands the fact that where his coins are right now are temporary? And so at some point, he's going to start moving Bitcoin to, let's say, the Saylor vault, or the strategy vault, I should say. Then I think once he gets into there, it'll change a lot, because if he's not planning on actually selling any Bitcoin ever, you can pretty easily show a couple different addresses to show how many coins you have. I think at some point he's going to have to, because I don't know, man. Like I know what you're saying with the 2 or 3 audits there. Like I come from an audit background. I know how audits work in the sense of like when it's very tainted. It's a very tainted system, because as a company, let's say that I'm Saylor and I'm a public company, and therefore I have stakeholders to report to. So I have to go out and hire auditors to verify the numbers that I have are correct. So that in its sense is a huge, what would you call it? Like, what's the phrase I'm looking for? It's like you're hiring somebody.
Like
it's a conflict of interest. That's what it is. And you sign off on it and you say, this is not a conflict of interest, whatever. But it is, because you're hiring somebody, paying them tens of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to look over your numbers. And if something's wrong, what do? You have to fire them, and they're not going to get paid next year because they found something in your books that wasn't accurate. It's a very screwed up system. And so I think that it's still necessary based on where we are today, I guess, but you can't rely on those numbers because they're people. You can't trust auditors. You can't trust a third party. It's like, that's why Bitcoin exists, is because we don't need to trust a third party, because you can look at it yourself. You can see, here's the address, here's how much Bitcoin they have, end of story. No audit required. So I think that at some point, Saylor's going to have to do that. I just don't think it's right now. But I know what you're saying, Robin. Like I'm with you. I trust Saylor. I trust the audits, but you look at Enron, they were audited too before. And that was one of the biggest blowups in history, right? Financially. So
I was just going to say, like, you can't trust the individual because you don't know what their actual intentions are. You don't know who they had a conversation with. You don't know.
You're in bed with them. They're your auditor. Yep. You're in bed with them.
You're paying them.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep. Like that's such a huge conflict of interest, just that alone.
It's kind of like having a gold-backed stablecoin, gold-backed token, you know?
Exactly.
You have to be trusted, right? Like that. And that's what
Who's doing
that's what the
auditing?
entire fiat system is built on, right? I think
literally.
And this is the differentiation between Bitcoin and fiat. So with Bitcoin, you're investing in certainty. You know for a fact that if you have the private keys, if you've taken care of them properly, you know that you have private keys to whatever amount of Bitcoin you have out of 21 million. Nobody can change that. Whereas with fiat, you're investing in probability, right? Certainty versus probability. So the chances of, this bank going down, what are the chances of it going down? What are the chances of your brokerage account being closed down? What are the chances of your government taking your assets away? What are the chances? Maybe the chances are low. That doesn't mean that the chances are zero.
Mm-hmm.
That never means the chances are zero. And that's what you're investing in. You're investing in trust. You're investing in the chances that somebody's going to take your wealth away. Whereas with Bitcoiners, we know that nobody can take our wealth away. We know that, like, if it's well, for the case of an individual, maybe their wealth can be taken away, but maybe somebody can do something to take their wealth away. But as a group, as a whole, I would say that the majority of Bitcoiners are going to hold on to their wealth much, much longer than anyone in fiat.
Yeah, they actually want to. They actually want to hold their wealth,
if they
right?
choose to, yes.
No one wants to hold US dollars because they're constantly selling it for assets. They're selling their dollars to acquire assets, which is the hilarity in all of it. And Bitcoin's opposite. Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of, I trust Sailor, but I don't trust Coinbase. I don't trust the other actors in the system, basically. You know, so like, again, it's one guy. He can change his mind. He can be, you know, whatever. Something can happen to him, and so there's always that risk. But yeah, I think Sailor is seems like he's been a great actor so far, and great for the space, an unbelievable educator, et cetera, et cetera. My problem is like Brian Armstrong. You know, like all of a sudden he's like Bitcoiner guy, and then all of a sudden he's out here shitcoining and doing all these shenanigans and more along the FTX lines of that. Like, what are they doing? You know, so that's where you start getting into these messy games of where is the coin at, and who's holding it, and what custody is it in, and maybe, who knows? I mean, does Sailor get into that game eventually? Kind of like you guys kind of alluded to in a way. So I don't know. That's gonna be very interesting to me. And then, like I mentioned, the U.S. government earlier. That's a whole different can of worms, and the whole nation state. You know, nation states it's anarchy, right? There's no one that's controls, you know, the nation state level. I mean, they try to, I guess, you know, some of the global organizations, but that's like, of course, the government's not going to really come out and say, this is how much gold we have, this is how much Bitcoin we have, because that's literal, you know, warfare basically. So they're not going to show their hand. So I would never have anyone hold their breath waiting for the U.S. government to tell you how much Bitcoin they actually have or how much gold they actually have, because that's part of the game. That's part of the cat and mouse game, obviously. So they can do it
behind the curtain.
Yeah, I mean that's the game, bud.
I want to show you guys something very important. We have the channel, the BTC Mastermind channel, and we actually have as many live viewers there as we never had before. Wow. Which is awesome. We have around 30 there. The other around 200 spread around the other channels. So like having
big
30
percentage
there on a new channel is great. Like the percentage of people watching on that channel gets bigger and bigger every time. If you haven't been aware, if you haven't like checked this out, just like go there, subscribe. This is our new home for those talks. There will come more talks. I might actually, I don't want to spoil it and then not deliver, but like there might come something in May with one live stream that I'll test out around other topics with other people. So there's there are more conversations, not just this one coming, even though this one is already like it's really cool to have on the new channel. So yeah, check it out. Go over there and trying to chat in the community there.
I think the last show we did, we were struggling to get to 300 subscribers on there.
Dang.
So we passed 500 now. Pretty good. It's amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, we will be, probably tomorrow we will be at 600. So it's awesome. We'll crack 1,000. We should do some giveaway. We should do something at like 1,000 subscribers. 1,000 is always a huge mark. We'll do some special, I don't know, live stream or something.
Yep. Working on a book too, in the works, preliminary works. So,
I forgot about that.
The book cool. we're all doing preliminary works. It'll come. So
it takes time.
Great stuff. Takes time. All good things do, just like Bitcoin.
Then I say thank you. Thank you. Any last words from you guys? Anything you want to add? Otherwise, we close it down, and I'm getting ready for earnings call.
Thanks, chat, everyone showing up, subscribing, everything, coming to learn about Bitcoin. It's amazing. I love hanging out with these guys here on the screen and everyone in the chat. I mean, it's just so fun to do this. Feel blessed to do it every single day. And man, we're gonna win. That's for dang sure. And we're here at the right time. And it's just the Malcolm Gladwell outliers. This is our opportunity right now, and to really change humanity. Not just, well, I guess oil did, some of those things did too, just like them, but this is that chance now. So just couldn't be more bullish. Never been in the damn near decade I've been in this, I've never been more bullish than I am right now. So keep moving on forward.
Amen. Yeah, I think that people are going to call you lucky at some point. The beauty of being a Bitcoiner is you get to be called a dipshit 98% of your life. And once in a while on certain days, people say, hey, you might've been right about this, but people are going to say you're lucky, and you are lucky. I think you got to keep that in mind. You are lucky, as we've alluded to with the different generations here. People who were born 100 years ago, they're never going to get to experience a world built on Bitcoin. And people who show up 100 years from now, even though Mike Green doesn't like it, they're going to wish that they were here right now. And you are here right now. So just keep building, keep stacking, and love each other, right, Brandon? Fill your hearts with love. Be kind to each other. Remember that we're all equal here. And we got this thing that really levels the playing field for all of humanity. And we get to be the ones who spread that word. So I'm blessed as well. I feel very fortunate to be here right now. So enjoy the convo today, boys.
Same here.
Awesome. Then thank you so much, guys. And I'll see you guys. We will be back next week. Bye-bye.
Yes.